are in this market for last couple of years, especially from Mopa, you have gone to Chipi now. Wasn't it a risk for you to be in Goa at a time when the entire perception was that Goa में अभी कोई नहीं आएगा?
Yeah, it's an interesting question that you ask. So we have been now operating for about 17 months. We started March of last year, and we fly to 8 cities, and out of 8, 5 offer direct connections from Goa. Again, I don't have historical data to talk, so I can only talk about our own experience. I think from our experience, we have been experiencing extremely robust load factors of people coming into Goa as well as going out of Goa. And out of the destinations that we fly, we have a whole bunch of unique destinations. So, we are the first airline to connect Goa with Lakshadweep, with Jalgaon, with Sholapur very recently. And what we have started seeing is all these, and of course we fly into Pune and Hyderabad. We have been consistently running load factors which are in the high 80s and early 90s. Okay, and typically those kind of load factors indicate robust travel. Okay, so it is very difficult for me to look at the data and tell you that, I don't think people are traveling. So I can only talk about what I see. Again, some of the sectors that I operate, I am not just the only player. So for example, I operate Goa Hyderabad. Okay, I am one of 15 flights in a day. Okay, and you still struggle to get a seat on those flights. Okay, I am one of 5 flights that fly between Goa and Pune. Okay, and on the weekends actually I have 2 flights Goa-Pune. And you will still struggle to get a seat on that particular flight. Okay, so obviously there is something right that is happening. Okay, otherwise people will not be, there's somebody who's traveling, correct? So from a pure air data perspective, data is not necessarily suggesting what we are saying. Okay, and again, we fly into Mopa. Okay, we also fly into neighboring Chipi. Okay, in fact, we connect 3 cities into Chipi. We connect Pune, we connect Hyderabad, and we connect Bangalore. And interestingly, a large part of the population that comes into Chipi actually travel into Goa, because they sometimes don't find affordable tickets because we fly into Chipi on the government's Udan schemes. Obviously, there are very attractive price points available. So we find people actually coming to Chipi and then traveling up, because Chipi to North Goa is possibly the same time it takes to go from, let's say, Dabolim to North Goa. Okay, so I have a slightly contrarian view to what you are asking. And again, this is purely based on my own data. Okay, so I can't comment otherwise. I'm not seeing anything which indicates otherwise. So that is the, cities like Jalgaon, for example, the first time anybody's ever connected Jalgaon to Goa. Every day I struggle to get a seat on that flight. Okay, there are people coming from Jalgaon. They come, they're very happy, they're seeing the place, they're going around. You take the flight back, all excited about, Goa, a lot of shopping. Now, of course, you can pick up your liquor at the airport. So, my flight is full of them, the people picking it up. So I don't know. So that's my view.
Discussion around 2 airports that is happening. And 2 airports are not feasible for Goa. That is one, thought process that is going on. Do you believe that 2 airports are feasible for Goa?
I think actually it's very unique, because Goa is the only place in the country where there are 5 functional airports in a driving distance of 4 hours. Okay, there is Dabolim, there is Mopa, there is Chipi, there is Belgaum, and there is Hubli. Okay, there are 5 functional airports. And if you look at it, all 5 functional airports, Chipi is the latest one, of course, we're just building it up. We haven't seen any significant drop in traffic because of anything else. In fact, if you want to look at a true global model, this is the part of India that is actually opening the eyes to other parts of the country, while they have all these concessionary agreements everywhere else. Correct? Like, for example, if you take Bangalore has got, 3, 4 airports can thrive beautifully, but artificially it's constrained at one place. Hyderabad, artificially constrained at one place. Okay. So I think there is lots for the country to look at. Like one of the reasons why Fly91 came to Goa was because we found this uniqueness. Okay, so today, for example, when I have a weather issue and I need to divert, I don't have to go back to Bangalore or go back to Hyderabad. I can actually go to one of these airports, okay, and recover my aircraft very quickly. So with, again, if you look at MOPA that's come up, like today we fly both into MOPA and we fly into Chippy. We're actually planning to start flights into Double M as well. Okay, very soon we'll be announcing some flights from Double M. So I think there is more than enough traffic, and I think there is more than enough opportunity for all these airports to coexist, and it only helps you boost traffic more. So I think it's a global model that's actually coming out here, and we should actually take pride in that. Yes, it will take a while for it to pick up, but that is where you start offering customers choice. So today, if I have a flight, let's say coming from Hyderabad, I got somebody coming from Hyderabad. If I'm going to stay in Palolem, okay, I'll take a flight to Double M. If I'm staying in North Goa, I'll possibly take a flight to Mopa, correct? That is the way people are going to start thinking going forward. So I think it's a good thing. Of course, there's still some way to go, but I don't see one getting sacrificed for the other at all.
There is this perception that airlines are responsible for making Goa as a very expensive destination. What is your reaction to that?
I don't think why
Because of
should
dynamic
airlines,
pricing, sometimes flying to flying abroad becomes cheaper than flying to Delhi.
yeah, so it actually the argument works actually the other way around to say that when Goa is doing so well and the demand is so high, uh, our natural increase in dynamic pricing, and obviously our dynamic pricing also gets mimicked by the hotels. Yes, the destination does get unaffordable at times. Like for example, you got the 15th August weekend coming in. Correct. I mean, say the long weekend coming in. I mean, say the pricing is crazy. Like I myself am getting out of Goa in my car. Okay, so I think we need to so these are the way, if you ask me, these are not bad problems to have. I think this is a reflection. So actually this reflects the fact that things are not as bad as what we think it is to be. Yes, there are definitely challenges for sure. I think various elements, like we heard the challenges of the film industry, we heard the challenges of mice, but again the same, and it's not unique to Goa. It's not unique to Goa. So for example, the challenges what he spoke about mice in Goa is the exact same challenge you have when you do a wedding in Bombay. Okay, or when you want to shoot a movie on Juhu Beach, correct? So again, I think as a small place, it is important for us to look at these issues. Obviously, we got to look at the issues, but I think it's also about responsibility and sustainability in the long run. For me, the responsibilities of bringing a sustainable tourist to Goa. So that becomes my responsibility. But it's equally the responsibility of that restaurant owner, okay, to ensure that he treats that customer well, that he wants to come back to Goa again. And I think those are also elements that we need to talk about in the larger ecosystem, because the ecosystem is not restricted to just the airline or the hotel or the taxi operator. Yes, Utkarsh is in the news for all the reasons. I mean, say for all the right or wrong reasons. Okay, but that's one very small part of it. Like, and this is where you got to learn from, places like Spain, for example. When you walk into a restaurant, you walk into any restaurant, the smallest to the biggest, the pride with which that restaurant owner, and I'm just picking a restaurant as an example, correct? He will ensure it's the best quality food. It may be the cheapest restaurant, but he'll still ensure that the quality is there. He takes the pride of his country, takes the pride of his village, correct? That is something which we find it in bits and parts in Goa. So there are a lot of people, restaurateurs, for example, I'm just picking restaurant as an example, who have that pride very nicely written out there. And then you got a whole bunch of guys who say, hey, tourist here, give them anything. And like there are some parts of Goa where I will never walk into a restaurant because I know they treat you like a tourist. Okay, so I think these are much more deeper elements that you need to get into And that is when you start scratching the surface, all those pieces start coming in, is that it is not just the responsibility of the operators concerned, not just the responsibility of the authorities and the government. There is also a responsible for local partners, restaurateurs, the guys who do water sports. There's so many things. People come to experience 100 things, correct? All of them need to also take this responsibility very seriously.
When Udan scheme was announced, that there was this slogan saying that even a farmer will be able to fly, take a flight and go. Now with you introducing your flights in Sindhudurg, places like Sindhudurg, and connecting Jalgaon to Goa, we're actually making farmers to fly in your aircraft. First of all, congratulations for that. And now considering airlines as an entire sector, as an industry, and from Goa perspective, what is the agenda that you want to put forth before the state government?
Yeah. So thanks for the for the compliments. Very interestingly, we recently, and I was just mentioning to somebody before the event, we have a gentleman who's flown with Fly91 50 times. Okay, and then we actually just cut a cake for him a few weeks back. He's a farmer from Jalgaon. Okay, he's a farmer from Jalgaon. The last 1 year, he's been flying between Jalgaon, Pune, Jalgaon, Hyderabad, and Jalgaon, Goa, and he completed 50 flights. Okay, so obviously schemes like Udan are really giving wings to this country. So I think it's an amazingly great scheme. The fact that today we are able to fly between Goa and Lakshadweep, Goa and Jalgaon, these are all thanks to this particular scheme. And what is interesting is this scheme is not coming out of the exchequer's pocket. Okay, the way these schemes are designed by the central government is that every time you and me fly on a regular flight, let's say Bombay or a Delhi or a Calcutta or whatever, there's 50, 60 rupees that goes into a kitty that is used to fund it. So it's actually a self-sustaining model that has been created. So it's not going from a taxpayer's money, but it's going from mainstream aviation into regional aviation. So one of the things that I would put, so there are two things that I would put possibly, more from a policy perspective that maybe the state government should look at, is a lot of states around the country have attempted to replicate their own Udan model. Okay, so whether it is Maharashtra, whether it's Madhya Pradesh, there are multiple states that have attempted to do it, okay, to promote it. So one of the things I would say is maybe the government in Goa should also try and evaluate, okay, and see, like for example, I connect Sholapur to Goa. I get no, it's not part of Udan, okay, but it's actually an Udan airport, okay, and it's not a sector that a private airline can possibly sustain. Time will tell whether I can sustain or not. But these are the kind of new connections, new cities that we can help. And maybe the state government should study the model that some of the other state governments have followed to replicate a similar model to promote. So that would be number one. Number two is something very different, but again, I think it's largely industry. And I don't know if some of you have visited my office, which is just next door. It's about skill development. Okay, we were possibly the first airline to actually participate in the employment exchange in Goa. Okay, to actually go hire youngsters. Okay, today I've got 3 or 4 people working in Fly91. That was actually part of the employment exchange drive that we did. Okay, we had some 300, 400 kids that came. So it's about providing training and local employment. Okay, we have got a beautiful training facility. I mean, so today we are proud to say that we've got youngsters coming out of schools, okay, and colleges who work with us. How can the government work with, let's say, people like us, people like IHCL, I mean, say, who have got fairly established training facilities to actually focus on skill development? Okay, and I think it's slightly more deeper. Like you got, for example, tourist guides. I'm just making it up right now, correct? Is there a formal way to train them, and can they use infrastructure that possibly people like us have built over, like classrooms and all of that stuff? But again, my job is not to do that. Okay, it costs, there is money involved, correct? Can the government facilitate, work with this ecosystem to develop skill in Goa? Okay, and I think we've got fantastic talent. Like my crew, half my crew are local boys and girls. Absolutely local boys and girls from these villages. Okay, my two drivers who started off with me today are technicians that work on the aircraft, correct? So Goa's got enough talent. How can state governments work with us to actually enhance it further? And I think that can be a very positive way to look at things. So these would be two things that I would say uh, are points that we should work together. I've been in Goa long enough. I was born and brought up in this place. My first concert I attended was Uriah Heep. And I don't know how if any of you guys in this room ever know the fact that Uriah Heep performed at Don Bosco. It was 1983, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, there was Bonium that came to Kampal Stadium. There was OCBSA that came. During my days at Goa Engineering College, when we used to do happenings, we had Rock Machine, which later on became Indiscreet. We had Shiva from Calcutta. We had 13 AD. So we had some of the best bands that have come and performed over here. Now, the point that I want to make is, and we were all part of it those days, we never relied on the government or anybody else to make it happen. There was a lot of local youngsters coming up there saying, we want to kind of do something for this place. I find that missing. So while I know this forum is to talk about what the administration can do for us, I will also ask that question back to say, what are our youth and youngsters doing? Like, I was at Goa Engineering College itself, my alumni, I went there after 30 years, and for happenings, they wanted to bring a DJ from Punjab. And I said, guys, instead of promoting local talent, musicians, out here, is this what you guys want to do? Correct? So somewhere I think part of the responsibility also comes back, and that is where one has to see how do you start building it out. Number one. Number two is I heard the point on sunburn being raised. I'm not too close to the problem, or I'm not very close to it. But the only question I'm saying is, Goa today, if you go back and look at what Goa was maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 55 years I know this particular place. We started off as a cheap, hippie tourist destination. That is what Goa was when I was being, when I used to go to school. We evolved out of it. We now need to say, where do we want to get to? And I think, like today, for example, when we talk about places like Tamdi Surla, when we talk about Narkasur, people actually are so keen to know, we did not know that Goa had all of this to offer. So I think somewhere we also have to start looking at what else can Goa offer. Say, how many of us know that the Oliver Ridley turtles are there in Goa? Or you actually have crocodiles when you cross over to Diwar. Correct? And I think that is how you start building sustainable tourism. So somewhere again, the way I would look at it is, yes, the points that are being spoken about, very, very valid points. But I think we have to start about seeing how can we start reimagining this place. And I'll give a classic example of Singapore and Dubai. Their team sits out there to say every 5 years they have to reimagine that place. So every 5 years I go to Singapore, there's a new bunch of things I need to see. There are a new bunch of things I need to experience. Similar thing with Dubai. I think that is the level that we need to get Goa to, and it is not going to be in the hands of the government. It is this ecosystem that needs to get together and say, what is it new that we as Goa can show people, so that the same guys who came 2 years back, when they come in today, they get to see a new set of experiences. And there are a lot of that happening in Goa. I think the good part is there's a lot of that happening. So if one thing is out of the window or it's not happening, I don't think that's the end of tourism or the end of the world. There are 10 new things that are happening again that are coming up out here. And we have to see how we can build it out. Sorry, it's got nothing got to do with aviation, but just as a passionate guy who was born in this village, I have to bring it up. And again, talking about movies, I still remember the first movie shooting I saw in Goa was in this river Mandovi, just across the old Goa Medical College. Seawolves were shot with Roger Moore, where they blew up a boat in the same village, 1980. Just FYI, you spoke about the electronic way of, single window thing. Again, I just want to kind of give a completely unrelated example, which I've had the privilege of being associated. That's in aviation. So the DGCA, that's the Director General of Civil Aviation, actually has got a portal called the EGCA portal. Anything that you do with DGCA, okay, you only do it through the portal. And again, let me tell you, and I've said this publicly multiple number of times. I'm a middle class guy from Ribandar village. Okay, not a rich man, raised professional money, started an airline. In that entire journey, okay, we have not even gifted a 100-gram mithai box to anybody. Okay, and that is the power of the EGCA portal. Because anything, you can't talk to anybody. Anything and everything has to be uploaded on the portal. There is a digital time, digital stamp, and there is a TAT, which means that when you upload something, the officer has got 7 days to respond. He has got 7 days to raise a query. And if he raises a query, you respond. He can raise a query the second time. The third time, it gets escalated to a superior. Okay, red flags come up, orange flags come up. Okay, so all I can tell you is in this country, there are certain places where this works beautifully. Okay, and from the day we applied for our NOC to the day we got our license, okay, was December 22nd, 2022, we applied for our NOC. We went in for our first formal meeting in August of 23, and 18th of March 24, we had our first flight takeoff, and everything happened through the portal. Even today, for example, when a pilot gets trained, his license needs to happen. You got to raise it in the portal. If there's a shortfall, it comes back. While you go meet, talk to them, no email, no letter, nothing. Everything happens on the portal. So if you guys want to give an example, maybe Jack, as an industry body, if you want to give an example, you must give this as an example to say there is a portal called the EGCA that works for DGCA. BCAS is also part of that, correct? Look at that, replicate it, it works beautifully. Civil aviation in India runs on that portal, and it runs wonderfully well. So again, I know there are a lot of, many of us sometimes get very cynical. Okay, but there is, and you asked the question, when? Okay, I don't know when, but I can possibly tell you how it is working in certain other industries, and it's within travel as well. Maybe we should try and get something like that replicated in places like Goa, because it works well. Thanks. Sorry, I digressed, but just wanted to let you guys know.
तुम्ही पळयतात GNH.